It was a muggy summer evening, and the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the rusty swings and rickety jungle gym. I was just there, trying to unwind after a long day at work, you know. The playground was empty except for me, or so I thought. As I was sitting on one of those creaky swings, I noticed two guys in their mid-30s lurking near the slide. They looked rough, like they've seen better days, wearing tattered clothes and all. They gave me a nod, and I gave them a polite one back, you know, just being friendly and all. Then, they got to talking, and I couldn't help but overhear their conversation. They were planning something they didn't want anyone else to know. I was about to mind my own business and leave when I heard one of them say, "We can make a quick buck tonight, no problem." Curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to stick around, pretending to be completely absorbed in my phone while eavesdropping. It didn't take long for me to figure out they were planning a robbery. They were eyeing a nearby convenience store, a small one that probably didn't have much security. As the evening grew darker, their voices got lower, and they huddled close, sketching out their plans in the sand with a stick. The more I listened, the more I realized that one of them, let's call him Dave, was plotting to double-cross his buddy Mark. Dave had a plan to make off with all the loot, leaving Mark high and dry. My heart was pounding. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't just walk away from this, so I made up my mind to follow them and maybe tip off the police if things got out of hand. Night fell, and they finally left the playground, heading toward the convenience store. I kept a safe distance and watched as they approached the place. Dave looked around nervously while Mark was focused on the entrance. It was a moment of truth. Would Dave go through with his betrayal? As they entered the store, I felt the suspense building up in my gut. What was going to happen next? Were they going to get away with it, or would Mark catch on to Dave's plan? I couldn't predict what was about to unfold, but I had a feeling it wasn't going to end well. Inside the store, I could barely make out their voices, but it sounded like a heated argument. I was too far away to intervene, so all I could do was watch, my heart racing. Then, the situation escalated. A tussle broke out between the two men, right there in the dimly lit store. Punches were thrown, and a small shelf toppled over, spilling its contents across the floor. I couldn't believe my eyes as they continued to fight. It was brutal and savage, like they'd completely lost control. Finally, the struggle ended when Mark managed to grab a hold of a nearby metal pipe. With a frenzied look in his eyes, he swung it at Dave, hitting him square in the head. Dave dropped to the ground, unmoving. I was paralyzed with shock, unable to look away. Mark stood there for a moment, panting heavily, his breath visible in the dim light. And then, without a word, he turned and fled the store, leaving behind the lifeless body of his former partner. I didn't know what to do next. I was the only witness to this gruesome scene. I knew I had to call the police, but my hands were trembling as I fumbled for my phone. When they arrived, it was too late. Dave was dead, and Mark was long gone, escaping into the night. As they say, truth is stranger than fiction. It might not be your typical ghost story, but the horrors that can happen in the real world are sometimes even more chilling. So, stay safe out there, and remember, you never know what you might witness, even at a children's playground on a quiet night.